You are the song that I sing. You are the melody, you are the harmony. Praise to your name I will bring. You are the Lord of lords, you are the mighty God. You are the King of all kings. So now I give back to you the songs that you gave to me. You are the song that I sing. You are the words and the music. You are the song that I sing. You are the melody. You are the harmony. Praise to your name I will bring. You are the Lord of lords. You are the mighty God. You are the King of all kings. So now I give back to you the songs that you gave to me. You are the song that I sing.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Central Church of Christ. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to quickly go over the announcement sheet. I don't believe there's been anything new added. CYM's got a Valentine's party on February 13th. There's going to be a Valentine's Day brunch on this Saturday, February 12th. And then there's a couple other things, so please just look over the sheet, if you will. The prayer request, I don't believe there's anything new to that as well, but I'll just say a prayer to start us off. God, thank you for this time that we have to gather together this evening. Thank you for this body. I pray that we always seek to encourage one another. At this time, I want to pray specifically for those on this list: Chris Clark, Camille Winkler, Janice Smelser, Don Bridges, Cody Roberts, Virginia Montgomery, Robert and Rhonda Moss, and Jackson Kelly. Just all these names, and I'm sure that there's still many more that aren't listed here. I pray that you just heal them all and comfort them all as they need accordingly, God, and please help us to be there for them as well. Please be with us tonight as we go to our classes and help us to be encouraged by one another. Thank you for your Son. It's in his name I pray. Amen. So, if you will, tonight, I'm just going to walk you through a little story that might be familiar, but I want you all to just sort of imagine a different perspective, maybe. So, just imagine with me that you are a military veteran, okay? You fought in a lot of battles, many different battles, large battles, okay? Say you were at the city of Jabesh Gilead when the Ammonites were going to gouge out the eyes of some Israelites. You were there. You were there when you ambushed the Ammonites and you defeated them. You were there when Jonathan, the son of the king, had a bold strike against the Philistines, and you didn't even have a sword in your hand, and you ended up following him into battle and striking down the Philistines while there was panic among their camp. You were there also when you mostly wiped out the Amalekites, and you almost removed them from the face of the earth. And then that prophet Samuel, he chopped up a king. So if you've lived an eventful life. You've seen a lot of violent things maybe. You've gone through a lot of battles. But you're experienced. You know what you're doing. You've seen a lot. Okay, but this is something you've never seen before. You see, you look across the field, and you see this guy, and he's got to be like at least 9 feet tall. Like, it's ridiculous. His armor's got to weigh like 200 pounds, like more than a grown man, maybe. And like, his spear is just absurdly sized. It's ludicrous. And, you think back on all your experience, and then you look at this guy, and you're like, nothing has prepared me for this. But you think to yourself, it's okay. Because you think back, and you say, I know he can handle it. I know King Saul, this powerful military leader, strategic mastermind. I've followed him into countless battles, and he knows what he's doing. You think to yourself, and then you turn back and you look at your king sitting over on his little throne or in his tent, and he's shaking in fear, and he doesn't know what to do. And at this point, you just think, well, I guess it's over. I guess, we're going to be utterly destroyed by the Philistines. If he doesn't know what to do, then no one does. You've lost faith. You have no faith. But then something odd happens. You kind of hear this rumor that's going around the camp, and some people are saying, like, first you're like, I don't know if I heard that right. Did you just say, you said there was a kid here? A kid that was going to do what? And there's this rumor that this boy was making these bold claims, and you're thinking it's probably not true. And then you see this boy, looks like a shepherd, has a shepherd's pouch, and he's speaking with King Saul. And King Saul looks like he's agreeing to something. He tries to give him his armor, and the boy refuses. And you're thinking, what is going on? Like, Saul is terrified. He didn't know what to do. Is this kid does he think he's about to fight this guy? And, I'm sure you're over there talking with your buddies, and you're like, what's going on? But this kid, he walks off, maybe he leaves the camp for a moment, and you're like, oh, okay. He wasn't actually going to do it. He was messing around, he's playing a joke, like kids do. And then he comes back, and it looks like he's got a little bit something else in his little shepherd's pouch. And he starts to walk toward the battle line. And here's where you're starting to get concerned. You're thinking like, hey, this isn't a place for a boy. This is a battle line. We're about to do battle, fight a war with the Philistines. This is not a place for a teenage boy, like 15 years old. But he keeps walking toward that battle line. He walks up to maybe where you are with kind of, your brothers in arms there at the front. And then he just walks right on past. And you're all just kind of looking at each other and like, is he actually walking out there? And he walks until the Philistine sees him, this behemoth of a man just kind of scoffs to himself and looks down. And he taunts him. He says, am I a dog that you come at me with sticks? He's like, are you serious? Is this the best Israel can do? Is this really the best you can do? And honestly, you're a little bit embarrassed. You're like, this is the best the Philistines had in battle. And we as a nation, the best we can do is to send out a little scrawny boy. And it's really humiliating for Israel. You just think, I can't believe it was already bad enough that we were going to be defeated. And it's even worse, everyone is going to make fun of us because we sent out a little kid to do our fighting. And you're like, and this poor kid is about to get killed. And, there goes this Philistine again, making these bold claims, basically saying, I'm going to kill you, kid, and I'm going to feed your body to the beasts of the field and the birds of the air. And we're going to destroy you all. You're like, well, here it goes. Just at least try and make it fast, man. And, this Philistine, he's been yelling out in this probably booming, deep bass voice. And then something happens that's even more surprising. You hear a response. You don't know this kid's name, you haven't really heard him speak, but he's yelling out with every ounce in his little teenage body to make the loudest sound he can. Maybe there's like a little bit of a voice crack or something in there, but he's really trying to be loud. And he screams out, you come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord, Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will hand you over to me, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. Today I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds of the air and the beasts of the earth, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands. And you're just kind of standing there with your friends, and you're like, what? Did you hear what that kid said? Now this guy's really going to destroy him. And the Philistine just starts running. One of his steps is probably like 20 feet. He's just bouncing across the battlefield. And this kid starts running toward him. And this is just wild. And, they're running directly at each other. It's like, it's over. I'm going to watch this kid die. And then he stops, takes a firm stance, draws one stone out of his pouch, takes aim, swings, let's go. The stone, right on target, hits him right in the head. Goliath falls down. He's dead. This kid, David, runs up, draws Goliath's sword out, and cuts off his head. And you're just standing there, you and all of your Israelite compatriots, and you're just dumbfounded. You don't know what to say. But you look at each other, maybe you look right, you look back left, and then everyone just, screams, and charges. And so that day, Israel defeated the Philistines, and they fled. You know, we were talking about, we've been reading through 1 Samuel in our life group, and this past Sunday, we went over 1 Samuel 17, which is the story of David and Goliath. And I think the way we talked about it just made me think of maybe a different perspective of that story. Because I think a lot of times it's very easy to focus on, just David, what he's doing, this bold act of faith. And I think it's important to focus on that. But I think what really kind of catches my attention is that when David is boldly proclaiming that I'm going to kill you, his reasoning behind it, he says first, so that the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. He's saying, so all these surrounding countries and peoples will know that there is a God here. But then he says, so that all those gathered here will know, basically, that the battle is the Lord. You see, the Israelites at this point in time, their faith wasn't that strong. Saul had started off pretty strong as a king, and he had just gone downhill. Mostly ever since he was anointed. He'd made a lot of errors, problems, bad decisions, and he was not helping Israel spiritually. So a lot of these men, you got to think about it, if they're modeling themselves after their leader, they're not in a great place spiritually either. They don't have a lot of faith. Maybe they just see the sword in their hand, they just count the number of men on their side against the enemy, and they say, that's how we're going to win. We got to outplan them, we've got to have more than them, we've got to be stronger, faster. But David changed that all. He didn't just commit this bold act of faith, just to show off. He didn't only do it just because he knew that it was the right thing. It was the right thing, and he's proclaiming God's name here. But I want to remember this effect, because I'm sure there were countless Israelite soldiers who didn't really have much faith at this point. And they see this kid, and they hear those words, that the Lord saves, and the battle is his. And I'm sure that those Israelite soldiers that heard that remembered that until they died. Even after they retired from the military, maybe they went back to the farm or something. But I bet you they were telling their grandkids, David said, the Lord saves, and the battle was his, and he defeated Goliath without a sword in his hand. Now, when we think of bold acts of faith that we can do, I just want to encourage everyone, as we try and think on this, I want to encourage everyone to, as you do bold acts of faith, be motivated by that. Just remember that me doing something, me stepping out and doing something I may be a little uncomfortable with at first, could be what someone else needs to push them in the right direction, to restore their faith, and to strengthen them. Because I think that's something that we just neglect to think about a lot of times, because we are the body. We are supposed to mutually encourage one another and build one another up. So someone acting in faith is going to strengthen the faith of everyone else. So I hope that you can remember that from now on, maybe, if the story of David and Goliath gets brought up, that you remember, that was great what David did, but can you imagine, if you're in a conversation with someone, but can you imagine how those Israelite soldiers felt? Can you imagine what they were thinking when they watched this happen, and how they felt after, how much faith they had in God, how much it had been restored? So I hope that you remember that. And at this time, I just want to ask if anyone needs to make a bold act of faith, if anyone would like to come, have us pray for them. If anyone would like to come and accept Christ and be baptized, I ask that you do that now as we stand and as we sing.
Faithful love flowing down from the thorn-covered crown makes me whole, saves my soul, washes whiter than snow. Faithful love calms each fear, reaches down, dries each tear, holds my hand when I can't stand on my own. Faithful love from above came to earth to show the Father's love, and I'll never be the same, for I've seen faithful love face to face, and Jesus is his name. Faithful love is a friend just when hope seems to end. Welcome face, sweet embrace, tender touch filled with grace. Faithful love, endless power, living flame, Spirit's fire, burning bright in the night, guiding my way. Faithful love from above came to earth to show the Father's love, and I'll never be the same, for I've seen faithful love face to face, and Jesus is his name.